Sheffield City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Entrepreneur's journey through Thailand. Come on up, Gaz Collins, not you. Okay, welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Ren. Hello guys, thank you for being here. As Ren has just said, my name is Gareth Collins and I'm going to share with you the person I was around 15 years ago to the person I am today. All the highs, the deep lows, the rock bottom moments I'm going to share with you. I'm going to truly open my heart to you all. I am. Thank you. As you can see, Menace to Society to Mindset Coach. I've got 3 agendas, however, I want to focus and home in on the one. That number 1, that green one that says, welcome all obstacles in your life. Most of my life, I've ran away from obstacles. I've hid away and allowed obstacles to control me. And I had a mindset of, I'll do what I want. Very immature. Very short-term gratification. Number 2, seek out all things that scare you. I was petrified of the dentist, literally all my life. However, a year ago, I started confronting this phobia, this fear. I had a mindset of taking this fear with me to the grave, because I was so scared of having needles in my mouth. I had an epiphany and I said, no, this is holding me back from being the person I want to be. How will I feel when I face this fear and leave the dentist with these 2 roots that I've had for 5 years of my life out? I done it, I faced it, and it was like I scored a goal at the World Cup. A big weight, a big monkey got shifted from my back. And I felt so proud and relieved of doing this. So I said to myself, what else is holding me back from becoming my higher self, my best self? Number 3, invest in yourself. Soon as I started to invest in myself, I raised the value of myself. I could look at myself in the mirror. Previously, I'll dive into all the stories shortly, I did not like the person that was looking back at me in the mirror. I had a lot of hate in my heart. How did I turn that around? Let's dive into it. We'll start off in jail. In jail, I was around 15 years ago. I look at that person there now, I do not recognize him. It's very hard for me to say that is me. How did I end up in jail? And I just want to warn you, again, some of these stories may disgust you because they disgusted me. I was out on a night out, partying off my face, as many weekends. And I'm sure when you come out of the club and loads of people are congregating, having a joke and having a laugh, making trouble, being baboons. I was jumping up onto like a pot of plants, sort of thing, being a baboon, being a clown, having a great time. I jumped down and one of the people around me, guy, didn't like it. So he started being aggressive to me. And I didn't want none of it. So I decided to pull my trousers down and show my ass. I didn't want to fight though. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to make him look silly and continue the joke and the clown behaviour. Then that upset him. So he came running after me. I ran off. And then I seen a friend. He says, "What are you running for, Gaz? Let's go back up there." I said, "Come on then, let's go." I said, "Come on then, mate. Come on. I'm with my mate now. Let's go. Let's fight. Let's have it." And he slipped up. What did I do then? I ran up and kicked him in his head and then punched him. Yes, the truth. The cold, hard truth. And punched his friend and said, "Who's next?" I went home and thought that was it. The next day, my other friend, messaged me, says, "Fair play for taking that geezer out last night. He deserved it." The guy who I hurt was in hospital, and his sister was friends with the guy, my friend, on Facebook. So they found out it was me. Arrested me. Cut a long story short, I ended up doing 1 year in jail. However, that was still not enough for me to change. That pain wasn't enough. So I carried on. I'm at a festival there, having a great time. There, wonderful time. Here is one of the loves of my life. I ended up falling in love with this girl, beautiful, lovely lady. And we had a stillbirth. She was 28 weeks gone, stillbirth at our home. Very, very painful. And I really struggled to just look at children, just look at a child without any bitterness in my heart. So painful. Until I started to do the inside work and started to develop myself. I had to let go of that pain, accept it. I nearly missed out another story then. We broke up, I cheated on her, and one night she was out, I broke into her home, and I said, in a fit of rage, I said to her, "If you don't get back here now, I'm going to cut up your clothes." That's one of the most disgusting things I've ever done, and it still pains me to today. So I did. I cut up about 20-30% of her clothes. Disgusting behaviour, I know. And then I tried to get her back for about 3, 4, 5 years, and we was on and off, and it just wasn't clicking. Anyway, I can look back now and appreciate that, because that pain forced me to develop myself. Jail wasn't enough. But that there, what I'd done, disgusted me enough, so I had to finish. I had to really kill my old self. How did I do that? When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. So I had no purpose. I had no true purpose in life. I did not know what to do. I did not know where I was going. Here's another side story. I was at school in one of the final years, and the teacher, while I was playing around with my good friend there, he said to me, "Gaz, when you leave school, you will be nothing but a bin man." And I was, for 5-6 years of my life. Very painful, when I knew I had a lot more to give this world. I had a lot more inside me to share and to give. So every day I used to think, when am I going to make something of my life? When am I really going to start facing life and challenging myself and start just bringing out the best side of me? Boom. I started a Caribbean food business in my family's pub. I'd done a one-off, all-you-can-eat Caribbean buffet because my passion was cooking. I loved cooking. I could do it all day. Pay me or not pay me, I don't mind. Bonus. Here's my friend here, Claire. She was vegan, she is vegan, and she took control of all the vegan area. And here's my lovely mom that put up with all of that behavior from me and still is there for me to today, which I don't know where I would be without her. Probably the 2 or 3 options: in a crack den, in jail, or in hospital, or just not, or 6 feet under. Yeah, not good. So yes, thank you, Mom, wherever you are now. This was the purpose I needed to heal my heart after trying to get my ex back. Desperately needed her back. It wasn't until I shifted that focus away from trying to get her back into something more positive and constructive that my life started to change and started to develop. Here I am with my crazy granddad, my adopted crazy granddad, who was my next door neighbour at my business, and my good friend there, Annabelle. We're there serving food in Birmingham for free, paying back to society, changing myself. Here's the lovely food: jerk chicken, curried goat, rice and peas, dumplings, patties, and some Scotch bonnet rings right there. Here's my happy family, a very rare occasion around that time that they would have been proud of me. My 30th birthday, 6 years ago. Everything that was drowned in me taught me how to swim. Once I healed myself and looked at the opportunity and what it was here to teach me, instead of staying in a state of paralyzation. That pain, that rock bottom moments, was holding me down. I was allowing them to hold me down instead of searching out the solution. Right, I've just done this, I'm disgusted in this behavior. How can I make amends for it not to happen again? Develop this, because this is weak. It's weak. Here I am. I took the dive from my parents' pub, that was literally, the kitchen was smaller than this, into a 10,000 square feet venue, 500 people capacity. When I took this dive, I knew I was probably not going to make a success of this. It was too big. I knew this, but either way, when it fails, the experience I will have will last me for the end of my days and will be so much more value. So let's do it. Let's take the dive. I did. The first electric bill I had was £3,800, and I still had some change in my bank. I couldn't believe it. It was a lot, to say the least. Here is a rare night that the place was full to each corner, 500 people capacity. However, most nights there was 10, 20, 30 people in a massive venue like that. And I had to walk through the crowd thinking, how the fuck am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my staff? Just like when you've had a birthday party and only your mum, dad, uncle and cousin shows up. That pain. Very, very painful. Tribute bands, weddings, all sorts of stuff I was doing there. And also raves, because I still had a little bit of rave in me, and I was still a party animal. That was still my downfall. I upset the neighbours. The DJs didn't respect me when I say to them, please be mindful of the level of the music. Anyway, I didn't appease the neighbours. I should have got acoustic curtains. I take full responsibility. They took the alcohol licence off me, and then I was paralysed again because my businesses have just crumbled. What do I do? How do I heal myself? Who knows? Do not know. How? How can I recover from this? Let's get away. Let's flee. I ran off to Thailand. I needed a fresh start, and I needed to reinvent and recreate myself. Here I am with AJ from the Potato News. I was working with the Potato News for about a year as their marketing and advertising manager, which I enjoyed. However, I didn't have enough control and creativity, and it just wasn't mine. I'm an entrepreneur, so I need to have input into what I'm building. Then, what else do I do? If this isn't for me, what else? I'm obsessed now with developing myself and creating a stronger me. Not just physically up here. So if I'm obsessed with developing me, I'm also obsessed in helping others develop themselves. A true passion from my heart. Why? Because I've gone through the pain of feeling weak and a lack of control in myself and my emotions. You're going to use your experiences to become either bitter, as I was, and I've shared with you, and it took me many years, 4, 5, 6 years, to just be able to smile, look at myself in the mirror, and say, things are going to be all right. Things are looking up. Here I am with one of my guests from my podcast, Tony Hughes, is over there. Thank you for being here, Tony. Appreciate you, man. And a fellow friend, AJ, is unfortunately not with us today. Little side note, AJ ran seminars just like this sort of thing, revolving around business. And every month or every few months I used to go up to Bangkok, meet great people, high caliber people like this. When I first started my podcast, I'll move on to shortly, this man in the middle, the white guy, and AJ over to the left, was the first two people that came into my mind to ask to come onto my podcast. However, I didn't have the courage to ask them to come on, even though I was quite close to them. I was speaking to AJ on the phone for about an hour and a half. And he says, Gaz, I know you want to do what I'm doing now with seminars and business development and coaching. So next year, why don't you do it? Yeah, I'll do it. And I put down the phone and I said to myself, I'm not ready for that. Not ready for it. 2 weeks after, my friend, who I was just on the phone to, passes away. Gone. At such a young age. I didn't have the opportunity and the courage, as I've just mentioned, to even ask him. And then a few months later, I plucked up the courage to ask my friend there, Tony Hughes, who's been on my podcast twice now. So what I'm trying to share with you is, do not wait for life to land on your plate, to land on your table. Start facing your fears, start facing your limiting beliefs as fast as possible, and that's how you will develop. Here I am with my first client that travelled from England to Thailand to come and train with me physically and mentally. He was overcoming a divorce. We spoke on the phone, we went through a few texts, and I basically said to him that I have no qualifications apart from life qualifications. I've been through what you've been through. I have the roadmap to help you heal and overcome your challenges. One thing that helped me overcome my partner's, my heartbreak is, if I get her back, great. If I don't get her back, great. Total acceptance. And it wasn't until a few months later he went back to England and he still didn't quite get it. We carried on working and he said, I understand where you're coming from now. And something sparked in his brain and he managed to move forward in life. And it didn't take him 5-6 years like me. Here I am meditating on the beach with other colleagues. One from David Goggins, one of my most impactful heroes. It hurts, but that's all it does. The most difficult part of training is training your mind. The most valuable thing you have. Here I am with my mum in Bangkok with Thailand, and I can truly say the future looks bright. Here I am again with my granddad on PP Island, my cousin, my mum, and my first podcast guest. I thought about creating a podcast many years, and it took me many years to pluck up the courage to even have a go. So again, ask yourself, what are you holding back from not doing in your life? One thing that massively changed me is I lied down and I visualized of dying. I put myself on my deathbed and I said to myself, if I die tomorrow, what will I regret not doing? And things should start coming up in your mind. And whatever those things are, start facing them. Don't bring them to your grave. Just like me being here right now, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone to build myself. Here I am with Tony Hughes, having a marvelous time. And this is me at my first workshop with some of my colleagues and people that came to hear me speak, along with a couple of my guests that was on my podcast. Final note, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. So throughout your day, keep in mind and consider how much time of your day are you investing in creating a stronger you? How much time of your day are you investing for your future self? Thank you for listening, guys. Sorry, I'm getting carried away.
Well, thanks, Gaz.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening.
That was very personal, and I imagine it's difficult, at least the first time you get up here, stand on a stage in front of so many people, and open up your heart in a way. You talked a lot in your presentation about realizing you need to make a change, and then sometimes over a period of time that change happens, say with your podcast, for example. You made the leap and you did the podcast after a period of time, but it might have been uncomfortable at first.
100%.
Do you have 1 or 2 tips that we could take away for putting ourselves in that mindset that we actually have to get this done when it might seem scary and we know we have to do it?
Certainly. We have to be attracted more to the challenge, more to the fear. That scares me. That's difficult. Brilliant! It should be. That's where we get the enthusiasm. If we just stay inside our comfort zones, it's hard to be energized inside your comfort zone. How many people do you know that created a great life inside their comfort zone? So, my old self would have been comfortable being comfortable. I'm comfortable with that. That's good. But my new self knows I'm disgusted when I stay in a state of comfort. It pains me because I know the power and the value of being outside my comfort zone has given me. Being here right now, I'm outside my comfort zone. Brilliant! Great! That's where I'm creating a new, stronger, more capable version of myself.
Awesome. I just have one more question for you guys. You showed that image of your first client a few minutes ago, and it was the person hanging by the bars. You said you were giving him the mental coaching, the physical coaching. Is this still a service that you provide?
Yes, certainly.
Nice. And how do people find you if they want to?
You can talk to me at the end. I'm very happy to talk to you. Please come up, share some of your problems with me, and I'll share with you how I can help you. Or you can check out my podcast on YouTube, Next Level Podcast with Gaz Collins. If you've liked any of the content that I've shared with you right now, and something's touched or struck a note in your heart, that's just how I speak on my podcast. I unload everything, whether you like it or not. It's very refreshing to me to be so open with the world.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Behind me on these screens, there's two images. On the left-hand side is a man sitting at his desk. He's frazzled. Elmo is in the flames. There's chaos. On the right-hand side, he's taken that state, transformed to somehow being on a beach in Thailand, probably just enjoyed a cocktail. He's sitting on the beach chair with his lounge position. He's enjoying life, the state of control. As Ren mentioned earlier, my name is Eric Shaw, and with the limited time we have today, I'll be telling you a little bit about my background and my approach to taking businesses from chaos to control and what I do today, which is digital marketing and project management, really as a service. So before we get into it, just a quick show of hands. Has anyone in here been to immigration before? Yeah, I thought so. It's a bit like this sometimes, isn't it? At least the first time I came, I remember the feeling. There was a language which I was unfamiliar with, stacks of paper everywhere, people going here, there, and everywhere, and the queues. Even today, I've been here for about 6 years, and the queue system still gets me. It feels a bit chaotic at times, and there are moments where we need support. So I know I've definitely engaged support from some other folks. There are plenty of visa agents out there. I think you all know what I'm talking about. Well, yeah, when it comes to the online world, it's the same thing. And this is the best way I can really summarize digital marketing in just a few sentences. The businesses who I work with, they might be sitting on the outside of this maze here. They're confronted with a network of dead ends, doors to nowhere. On the inside is where they need to be. This is a sustainable system of them driving customer acquisition online. So at the end of the day, I'm normally brought in either at the beginning or midway through a project to take the businesses from the outside to the inside. Essentially, that's what digital marketing is about from my perspective. And I'll tell you a couple of tips in terms of how I approach this and what I might do kind of cross-industry, even cross-project. Maybe you'll be able to take some of these away in your life even, who knows. So before that, I just want to tell you a little bit about my own background. Those of you with a keen eye will know that this image on the screen here is not one image. It's actually spliced between 3, and they kind of tell the story of where I've been, or at least where I've lived in my life. I'm sure a bunch of you can guess by my accent, I come from America originally. I'm from a small town in the state of Maine, hence the lighthouse. Has anyone seen this lighthouse before? Yeah, in fact, it's the most photographed lighthouse in the world, and that is our claim to fame. It's a small town. So from there, I ended up actually going to Boston. That's the skyline you see in the middle. And this is where I found a passion for not digital marketing, not project management, but finance. I actually did 2 university degrees in Boston, both in finance, before transitioning into financial technology. One thing led to another. I was living in Sydney, Australia, before I came here to Thailand. As I mentioned, I moved to Thailand about 6 years ago. I came here to work at a company called Agoda. And for those of you who have traveled within Thailand, I'm sure that you've seen advertisements for Agoda online. That was the kind of thing I was doing. For anyone who's not familiar, it's basically like booking.com or trip.com. It is very Asia focused, and they sell hotels and flights and activities, all sorts of things now. Agoda is really the place where I had my first foray into digital marketing, so I've really only been at this for a few years' time, and I think that gives me kind of a unique perspective, which is, again, what I'm going to break down in the next couple of slides here, because I take influence from all these different industries and places I've been. Okay, back to immigration for a moment. I think we've all seen this before, right? Stacks of papers. Sometimes there's a dozen or even more signatures you need to put down. Typically the visa agent, the person who knows the system, will have things arranged for you. You'll just show up and you'll follow this person to the appropriate queue. If you're going by yourself, you're going to have to figure it out. But that all comes from a state of planning. Now, the one thing that I've noticed whenever I've jumped into projects is this instinct to just, hey, let's just get to work and let's get this thing done fast. I've worked in environments throughout my career. As I mentioned, I was in IT for a while, digital marketing, fast-paced industries. I've been in places where there's always an impetus to kind of get going with things. But what I'm going to tell you today is the first of 2 tips is to slow down at the beginning. For me, whenever I've jumped into a new project, I always try to tell my teams, let's be analytical, let's be rigorous, let's be thorough at the beginning so there are no surprises later. It may sound as common sense, or it may not, but at the end of the day, human nature is just to kind of get going on these things more often than not. I'll give you a quick example. Back in my time in the marketing world in corporate, we were launching a brand new type of advertisement, and I won't get too technical on this, but essentially it had to do with YouTube and using videos as a medium to sell a particular service. Now, this had never been done before in our company or in the industry, and we had a lot of questions, and there was a very concise timeline where we needed to figure out if this is going to work or not. So we did go ahead and map out the technical infrastructure, and we tried to answer all the questions we could up front. But one thing that we've paid special attention to was the different stakeholders who were going to be influenced by this project. We ended up creating a matrix of dozens of people from across the organization, from our team to parallel teams, upper management, you name it, sometimes friends who are in other parts of the place where maybe I would want to rely on them for help later on. And at the end of the day, before we actually started doing any work, we knew who we needed to keep informed, we knew who was going to support us, and we knew exactly how we were going to inform them. So that when things started to get chaotic, we were ready, and the complex became simple because we knew we had this newsletter to send out every week, we knew we had these metrics to share to this group of people, we knew where we would get support, and that was because we did the upfront planning, particularly when it came to thinking about all the different stakeholders, from the CEO all the way to my level and my team. Okay, so that's a general planning principle that I will apply to projects. When it comes to the execution phase, it's a bit of the opposite, right? So a lot of times when I've jumped into a project midway through, I will observe the chaos here in the execution phase. The planning's been done, we're working, and this team's off doing this. There's really no one captaining the boat. It can be a bit chaotic and messy. Well, I like to use an approach that's based off of a book I read back 10 years ago. My manager at the time, he so believed in it, he bought everyone on the team a copy of the book. And it's called The Checklist Manifesto. Has anyone heard of this book? Thank you, Amy. Yeah, this book, it really changed the way that I approach things. Essentially, it's probably interesting reading for anyone, I would say. It's not industry specific. It's not directly applicable to any sort of work that I've done specifically. Essentially, it says that whether you're a pilot or you're a surgeon, if you're in a high pressure industry and you're going to be facing a time of chaos and uncertainty, it always helps to have a checklist at hand. And that's what we've been developing through my teams that I've managed and worked on whenever we get to the execution phase, actually doing the work of a project. I'll give you a quick example of this in practice as well. Back when I was in financial technology, we were implementing a new client. And this was a big client. They were based in Japan. We were in Australia. We had no Japanese speakers on our team. It was difficult. Okay, they had some very specific requirements that we had never built before, and it was very technical. I actually came into this project after the planning was done because they realized they needed more hands, and we just had to figure out a way to execute fast and accurately. So we started with a checklist. We took a step back. We spent a few days actually not doing anything and just writing out, these are the, say, 80 to 100 different types of coding jobs that we were going to build, and these are the ways that they might all interact. So given every particular scenario that might come to us, we were ready to implement it. After that first few days, when it came time to doing the work, we were just this soccer player here on the right. We were kicking goals. It's a gratifying feeling. So if you ever find yourself in a project, be it at work or maybe you're painting a room in your house and you're getting frustrated, kicking over the paint cans, it might be a good time to take a step back and think, this should be the gratifying place in my work. Maybe I need a checklist too. So that's it. Those are the 2 quick tips for today. Basically, to summarize it, we want to define the success up front, make sure we do the planning, have the analytical rigor at the start of any sort of a project, no matter what industry you might be in. I also mentioned we want to make the complex simple and make the execution feel easy. We make the complex become simple by documenting a process, maybe having a checklist around it, and then when it comes time to kicking goals, we're doing just that. We're just kicking goals. In case any of you ever wanted to talk about it more, I have my information here. There's a QR code to the website. I just started doing a blog. I only have 2 posts. I don't think I've even implemented the comments function, but it's on there on the QR code, and I would love to hear anyone's opinion if you ever are interested in checking it out. So thanks everyone for your time today.
Thank you, Eric. Can you share with us your most valuable character trait?
I talked a lot about like the professional aspects, and I feel like I can be a little bit sometimes in the weeds and in the details when it comes to work. Like work is a big part of my life right now, and that's why I talked about it. But I think that connects to something else, which is that I tend to be detailed and organized. I think that test. All good? Truth. See, it's already being implemented. Yeah, so I tend to be a detail-oriented person. And sometimes this is to my demise in times when we really need to kind of move fast and be comfortable being uncomfortable, as I've heard throughout my career, and it's a little bit difficult for me to transition to that phase. But when there's a chaotic situation happening, and when I come into some project, be it digital marketing or finance or whatever it is, I'm always ready to kind of get into the weeds and understand the nitty-bitty details and who's involved, and make sure that we kind of map things out, have the checklist ready to go. And typically, that's been to the advantage of whatever the task is at hand. So I tend to be very detail-oriented and organized. Usually, it's a good thing.
Thank you for sharing. Hello. Can you now share with us one of your weaker traits back in the past that you've improved and how you've improved it?
I hope that at least a few of you agree with this here, but I find myself to be a fairly competent public speaker today. Like, I'm comfortable standing up here speaking to you all, but that wasn't always the case. I know that about 15 years ago or so, I really didn't have any experience, and I didn't have the drive to stand up here and talk to everyone from a stage. So even this elevation here makes me a little bit excited, but it's excited in the way that you had mentioned at the end of your speech here, Gaz. It kind of motivates me to go do it now. So it's just a matter of changing that mindset, getting a bit of practice, and now I'm excited to be here. If I make a mistake, it's pretty exciting to be getting better too.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. What is, sorry, can we dive into Toastmasters a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. And share with the crowd what Toastmasters is all about.
Yeah. Toastmasters is really where I cut my teeth when it comes to public speaking. It made a big difference in how I approach opportunities like what we're doing here today. Essentially, it's an organization. I believe it's a non-profit organization. It's global, and there's different clubs or chapters, as you might know them, kind of all around the world. Even in Pattaya, we have one, and that's where we met, of course. The goal of Toastmasters is for people to be able to come, no matter what level of public speaking they have, they're able to kind of advance that. It's a supportive environment. As I mentioned, it's nonprofit. People are there because they want to be there. And it's just a place to get some practice leveling up your public speaking, and maybe you learn a few things from other people who are speaking along the way.
Certainly, certainly. Anything else?
All right. Thank you both for showing your Toastmaster skills. And of course, now an opportunity to ask either of these people questions. Oh, Amy.
Of course I will. Congratulations, both of you. I thank you so much. I am really stoked that you came. Thank you very much for this. So when we originally brainstormed this idea, it was, one of the themes had been, because you are both starting businesses and being entrepreneurs in Thailand, and you're young. I mean, let's face it, they're young. What's it been like to be an entrepreneur in Thailand in terms of any kind of systematic or bureaucratic things that you had to navigate, if at all, in order to do what you're doing here? Has it been easy? What have you discovered, and what would you advise someone who says, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur living here? What's it been like for you, and what would you say to someone that they should be aware of?
When I first came to Thailand, I was still overcoming the pain from my business, as I've mentioned slightly. So it took me a good 6 months to heal and start to build the network. I was homesick, and that was holding me back massively. I was hesitant in getting out there. But soon as I start putting myself out there, going to social gatherings, hubs, saunas, the gyms, and places like this, things start to happen. So the number one thing is networking. Vital. People. And building valuable relationships. And just simply putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Gaz. I think one thing I might add is that if you're an expat like we all are in this room and you come to Thailand, there's that nature of having your status sorted. So a lot of different visa types exist out there. Sometimes you get the visa agent to help you navigate that labyrinth, but it's important to be aware of what you're doing and ensure that you're up to speed on the latest kind of regulations and that sort of thing. In addition to the regular scheduled activities of any any entrepreneurship anywhere, which is networking.
And there's always in life going to be a reason not to do things. There's always going to be that voice in your head saying, stay in England, I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. That's too scary. It's too much for me. What am I going to do over there with no money if I don't make a job, get a job? Or you can take the dive, take the leap, and grab the experience.
Question over here.
Can I just ask, when your business folded, was this in America?
England.
It was in England.
Yes.
Did you go bankrupt?
I spoke to a liquidation personnel, and he recommended me to just leave it as it is.
So you left with lots of debts?
There was certainly some debts, but my mom helped me finance because she was a guarantor. So she paid off the rent.
Right. So when you came to Thailand then, did you have to declare the fact that you'd been through all this in England?
No.
One of the things that you fill in when you come to Thailand is a declaration that you've not been bankrupt and you've not had any just judgments against you.
No idea.
Okay.
No idea.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing, though.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Oh, people are still absorbing. That quote was from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, was it?
What was that, sorry?
Sorry?
What?
The Viktor Frankl quote
Yes, that
was
was.
from Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes, indeed.
Who has read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning? It is really a must-read book. It is unbelievably powerful and wise, and it's about a guy who survived in a concentration camp and how people even in concentration camps could find meaning. You know, a really, really amazing book. Cannot recommend it too highly for everybody to read. A round of applause for our wonderful speakers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for staying here.
Two of the younger speakers we've had in the club, not the youngest, but very much younger. Gaz Collins. Not you, okay. And Eric.
Cheers.
And with thumbs. Come on, give us a big thumbs up. Come on, everybody, put your thumbs up. Yes.
Thank you.
Take a photo. Well done, guys. Fantastic. Well, that was great. And I'm